Welcome back, fellow Star Wars Nerf herders, to our review of The Bad Batch, titled,
I have a Bad Batch feeling about this.
Once again, we bring you a two-parter, or in this case, the end of a three-parter, and a singular episode. We'll start with the finale of this three-parter, because we've been chewing at the bit since the last episode.
So today we have Bounty Lost and Common Ground.
Bounty Lost picks up where we left off. The Batch had gone to this junk planet along with Rex, who helped them remove their inhibitor chips, so the danger of them defaulting over to the influence of Order 66 is now gone. Unfortunately, they encountered crosshairs in the Empire, who tried to eliminate them.
And on top of that, there's also a bounty out.
Friggin' Cad Bane returns, and he has kidnapped Omega, as he was ordered to by the Kaminoians.
But, thankfully, Hunter's shot missed Cad Bane, but did hit Seth Greenbot, aka Toto.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, which thankfully helps lead into Omega's escape from Bane. Yeah, I know I went on a rant all about Cad Bane last episode, so I won't do that here, although I will make some comments here and there as to some of the shit that goes on in this, so heads up, forgive me for that. So yeah, Cad Bane lets the Kaminoians know that he had captured Omega alive, and, he expects his bounty to be, a little more substantial, given that, he has to keep her alive. So they agree to meet on this one planet. I forgot what his name was, but it looks like a lot like Bespin. Like, when they flew in, I'm like, wait, is that Cloud City? But I think it's like one of their, cloning facilities, because we do see other clones there, and there's, nobody working there. Because I was a little confused, they land, and they're running throughout all the facility. I'm like, where are the people around here? But I'm guessing it's one of those hush-hush sites for maybe backup clones that nobody knows about.
Before we get there, we have, Cad Bane was talking to the Kaminoans, and Lama Su and Tonwi. Lama Su is the other person. So Lama Su was the one that was actually showing Obi-Wan around the facility in Attack of the Clones, and then they meet. I guess it's Tonwi. I forget their freaking names, but
I won't lie. The Kaminoians really seem interchangeable aside from their genders. A lot of them have the same personalities. So sorry we screw up names.
Basically, their plan is to send in Lama Su. I know that for certain. To dispatch Cad Bane and extract Omega. And we actually learn in the process that Boba Fett's name was originally Alpha.
Yeah, the big reveal as to why Omega is so special is the fact that she is an unaltered first-generation clone, the same as Boba, which, technically speaking, makes her Jango's daughter and Boba's sister. Which explains why she's so important, because with Jango gone and Boba missing, she's the only real source of the original DNA left, which they need to make more clones. So it's understandable now why she's so valuable. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. Where has she been this whole time? Because she seems to be about the same age Boba was when we saw him, at least at the beginning of Clone Wars. They just been, keeping her on the down low this whole time. Did Jango know about her? When did she come about? Because she's, what, how old? Maybe 8?
They said she's a first-generation clone, so she and Boba probably came around the same time. Probably, if I had to guess, Boba was first. And then, sometime not too long after.
Although, when you think about it, she's actually more unaltered than Boba is, because she's female. And for those of you who don't know about biology and stuff, pretty much every human, when they start off, developing in the womb, they start off as female. It's only when the Y chromosome is introduced that, they turn out male. So I'm guessing in this case, they really did get the most basic material of Jango they could, and didn't add any other, variations to it. I have a feeling some people are going to complain about this if they haven't already. Oh, they made her the daughter of a famous character. It's just Rey Palpatine all over again. I don't think it's that egregious, but again, I'm still not sure yet how I feel about it.
I mean, let's face it, they were cloning a mass of soldiers based on this one character, and we've got flawed clones already.
Right.
So it stands to reason. Something like this could happen.
But the thing that really baffles me, though, is that the head Kaminoan says that once Omega is brought back to Kamino and she has her DNA extracted, he wants her eliminated. And I'm just like, why? Because like I said, we've been watching Clone Wars, and one of the major issues they've been having on Kamino is that the genetic material they had from Jango has been slowly deteriorating over time, because, that's what DNA does. And it would stand to reason that for them to keep doing what they're doing, whatever source they choose to, make the clones from, they'd want to keep them alive if possible. So why would they just decide to, off Omega once they got the one genetic material? It doesn't make sense.
I guess given that now she's been exposed to the outside world and, particularly that she's with the Bad Batch, that she's with defectors, that could be a cause for concern. So they might want to just get what they need from her and eliminate her being any possible threat to them. Or,
I guess so. But on the other hand...
that she won't be agreeable with them
right,
as she was before.
On the other hand, they are going to find themselves in the same position they were before, in that they only have a finite amount of DNA to deal with. Because even if they, kept her body on ice or something, bodies decay. Their source of material is, still going to dwindle regardless. I don't know, that to me felt really short-sighted and only seemed to serve the whole, this is how dire the situation is. It's not just sending her back to this prison, it's risking her death on top of that. That was one of my big issues with this. But then we get back to Omega being imprisoned on Cad Bane's ship. She manages to trick the droid into letting her free by helping repair his broken leg. She's able to do so in a way where he doesn't suspect anything until she knocks it out. So I thought that was really clever of her. And she actually manages to escape just as they land on that Cloud City. I know it's not the Cloud City, I'm just referencing it as such. So it's a big chase through the city as she's trying desperately to radio the Batch so they can figure out her location and come and rescue her. And Cad Bane is this close to getting her when who should show up?
But another bounty hunter who's been dispatched.
Yeah, Fennec Shand has had tracked them there as well. Not only does she track them, she kills
Lama Su.
Yeah. So there's already that seriousness in play. It's kind of pick your poison. Because I felt so bad for Megas. It's who does she stick with? The one who just killed one of her caretakers, or the one that had stolen her from the Batch? It's
At first, we are led to assume that it's just, another bounty hunter there for the same exact reason that Cad Bane is there. Of course, we learn later that, and we should have actually suspected that given the interaction that was going down in Kamino, that it's not quite the same case.
We'll get up to that point.
Yeah,
though.
we'll get to that.
Yeah, so it's a whole big shootout between Cad Bane and Fennec Shand, which I gotta admit is kind of awesome. I know at that point Fennec was still just starting out as a bounty hunter, but she'd proven her skills, especially in the previous episode. So it was nice seeing them go toe to toe and all of that. And I mean, obviously, Fennec's gonna survive, given she appears in Mandalorian. So I was kind of holding out hope, is she gonna actually off him in this? Am I finally gonna see his death? And he almost does. She manages to actually
knock him off.
She knocks him over the side, and he looks like he's gonna plummet to his death, but of course he doesn't fucking die.
There's fucking jets in his boots.
Magical rockets activated. It's why won't you die? But thankfully, their fighting distracts enough that Omega actually is able to find her way into one of the cloning facilities and send out a signal to the Batch so they can come to her. She finds out, what it is the Kaminoians plan to do with her, and she makes her escape on her own, hijacking the droid on top of that, and stealing one of his pods, escape pods or something, and manages to thankfully meet up with the Batch and get away. So the danger is done with that. She's back with the Batch where she belongs. Cad Bane's stranded on the planet because Fennec sabotaged his ride. And then, of course, we learn that Fennec had actually been hired by one of the Kaminoians. what was her name? Fenway?
Yeah, I think so. The one that basically was
the main character.
Yeah, the one that that Omega was working with that whole time, who actually didn't want to see her get gutted.
Yeah, who actually I think cares about her to a degree. And not only did we find out that Fennec really had no intention to like cause any harm or maybe not even bring her back to Kamino, but she was more just trying to get her away from the Batch and somewhere safe. But I think after like this whole series of things, Fenway realizes that she's better off with the Batch, which, yeah, when you think about it. And she calls off the chase from Fennec, probably might hire her again in the future, because, Fennec did say, you know where to call me if you change your mind. So at least now we know that there's one bounty hunter off their back. But that kind of calls into question, how is the Batch supposed to pull off their jobs and keep a low profile if they have all these hitmen going after Omega now?
So that leads us into Common Ground.
And in this one, it's like a two-story thing is going on here. The first part of the story is that the Batch get a new mission, and that they're being called to Rexus or something. Rexus. It's the planet that the Separatists, the main.
One of the planets of the Separatists. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like where they gathered or something. They had been infiltrated by the Empire, and even though the Empire tries to put on the whole facade of, oh, don't worry, we respect all planets' individual rights and yada yada, we just ask you to bow to the Emperor and so
We're
on.
also imposing a curfew for your safety.
It's like, don't worry, we plan to equally enslave all of you.
And they want to make sure that they get complete compliance by the people, the planet, and basically they want the senator there to say a few words on their behalf.
Yeah, but unfortunately the senator has no chill and pretty much changes his mind mid-speech and is like, no, I don't support the Empire, neither should all of you. Don't let this stand, don't let us be invaded, da da da. And naturally, they kidnap him and are holding him either to subdue him into submission or to outright execute him.
And we bring in the walkers.
Those things were like so weird. They were like walking tanks that had like 4 tits on them.
I mean, they've been around, through the Clone Wars.
I know, but now that I gotta go look at them, like, those things have tits on them. Really pointy tits. I don't know, it was really distracting for me. I know, I'm such a child. Thankfully, the senator anticipated that he probably wouldn't be able to go through with declaring their loyalty to the Empire, and as such told his, I guess, protocol droid or something?
Yeah.
If, something should happen to me, initiate the backup plan. And the backup plan apparently was to alert Sid to summon somebody to help to go rescue him. So that is the Bad Batch's mission. However, Hunter has his reservations about bringing Omega, given what happened in the previous episode. So he ends up actually leaving her behind with Sid, much to her chagrin.
Well, I love what Sid says. I don't trust, anybody on this mission. That it's like, you shouldn't trust me.
He's like, it's fine, I'll watch the kid. Well, I don't trust you either. Good, you shouldn't. So at least she's honest.
Yeah, I freaking love Sid.
Yeah, she's so great. Like, total Rhea Perlman.
Yeah.
I love it. Again, I know we've had our reservations about Sid too, because ultimately she's in it for the money. But I figure to a degree, she did have an affinity for them and for Omega, because, they're around all the time, they do what she says.
She gave Omega advice on weapons training.
Yeah. So I think, like, underneath she is a softie.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Batch leaves Omega behind with Sid and head off to the planet to rescue the senator. And it's pretty much just an infantry mission from this point. I just say the droid, I almost thought it was like a human in armor at first, given how it was designed.
Yeah.
Because it looks like it had, like, C-3PO's body, but, like, one of those, like, Separatist droids' heads.
Yeah, but we've definitely seen that droid in the movies before.
I know, I guess just the way it was animated, I thought it was, like, a person, like a really skinny person.
I can't, I'm blanking on what movie or movies that they were in, but
yeah.
I definitely remember seeing them in the films.
One thing to note is that the Batch definitely had their apprehensions about this mission, especially Echo, because they are going to, like, a separatist planet. In fact, like, I guess the head separatist planet. And given how most of them were bred to fight against Separatists, and in Echo's case, he was actually made into what he is by the Separatists, it stands to reason they'd be more than a little hesitant to go to this planet, because they obviously have their suspicions, about who hired them. They're worried about being led into a trap and whatnot. But as we quickly find out, that's not the case. The guy just, wanted to make sure he was rescued should shit go down. I gotta say, I was a little disappointed we didn't get a little more development in that. It's not like their beliefs are really challenged or anything. I mean, they go on this mission, they infiltrate the palace, they save the senator, and they manage to escape, thanks to the senator's knowledge, of his city and what would be the best escape route. But other than that, he doesn't really challenge anything. Like, they pretty much work with him because they have to, otherwise they die if they don't.
I mean, I think we saw a little bit of that in Clone Wars when Padme meets with her old friend.
Right.
And they see, they're not really so different.
I know they've done episodes for in Clone Wars indicating that not all the Separatists are bad, that they have, let's be honest, a perfectly logical suspicion of the Republic and are disillusioned by it, given how frickin' incompetent the old Republic was. So it stands to reason that all of them have bad intentions, like, Dooku and the New Gunray and all of them, seem to have.
But I mean, let's face it, despite the fact that the Republic won the war, both the Republic and the Separatists, they both lost.
Yep.
Ultimately, in the end, they both lost.
At the same time, I'm also, kind of questioning, the batch, because I'm like, you guys know that the war is done with. You know that the Republic technically won. I assume most people know by this point that the main Separatists are all dead. Dooku's dead, New Gunray's dead, every other proficient head of the Separatist movement is now dead. So that would just leave the planets, ripe for invasion, as we saw. But, they're still acting like, they're like this, there's still this, big force that we gotta fight against, even, everyone to the letter. It's like, dude, come on. This is a mission. Try to be, a little impartial here. But if I'm being honest, the mission really wasn't the highlight of this episode. No. The highlight was between...
I mean, I will say at least it was, fun seeing, the droid kind of distract all the troopers,
right.
And then they'd walk in, and then the Bad Batch would just beat them up.
Yeah, those parts were funny. Yeah, I'll admit.
And then I freaking got flashbacks when they hijacked the walker, and then
they're very slowly getting away.
And so they chased the walker with another walker.
This is the slowest chase in the history of cinema. What the hell?
But then, of course, it's like they use the cannons on there, and like I said, I'm getting flashbacks to Battlefront 2.
Honestly, that's the only reason I think they stayed on the ship was that they knew they needed to blast their way out of the city. So that's the only reason I can see for staying there. Because otherwise, I'm like, you guys can outrun this shit. Why are you staying in this
I don't even think the Bad Batch were using the weapons. It was the clones, the other clones, that were using the weapons against them.
Yeah, that just...
And they wound up having to leave. I don't know how they managed to get away, but I guess because slow-moving vehicle, they managed to get away on foot a lot easier.
That just...
But yeah, no, you're right. Definitely the B plot is the thing to focus on.
Because we focus on Omega as she's staying back at the bar with Sid. And then obviously she's depressed because, she wants to be on the mission. She's part of the group. She wants to be useful, but obviously Hunter still has his reservations, given all the bounty hunters and such. Sid, unfortunately, is not too comforting.
Mm-hmm. She's not very sympathetic.
Yeah, because obviously she doesn't fully know what goes on during their missions. She just knows whether they win or fail. So she really has no idea when she tells Omega, it's like, well, maybe if you weren't so useless on missions and they wouldn't have to protect you so much, then you wouldn't be left behind. Even the bar patrons were looking at her like, dude, come on, that was mean. Because we know that Omega is capable. She saved herself and the batch, a couple of times by this point. And yes, she's still technically a kid, and obviously...
Still learning things.
Yeah, she's still learning, and obviously she's not going to be able to fully go up against, some of the more dangerous foes they've encountered. But even so, she can take care of herself. She can watch herself and others. So... Yeah, it was kind of mean of Sid to like point that out, and I think she realized that too.
So later on, we see like Sid is challenging some of the patrons to one of the games that
so like the holographic monster chess game.
You know that kind of game that we saw on the Millennium Falcon.
I never understood that game. I'm like, I assume it's like chess and that the monsters represent like a different type of like chess piece, but they have like several different types of monsters, and it's not clear like which is more superior than the other.
I mean, I don't think we really need to know, given that it's just like you have to know how to the strategy of it, which is.
I'm
what
sure
comes
like
into
Star
play.
Wars nerds have recreated it and figured out the system. So I'm probably like being real ignorant like talking about this. I don't know, like I'm just watching it and it's like, oh, you press a button and a monster attacks. Okay. So they have different power levels, the abilities, like no, they just punch each other. I almost felt like I was watching Yu-Gi-Oh! At one point.
I mean, you do see like different buttons on the console. Sid is about to make this one move, and Omega Spotch is like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. Sid does not believe her, and it winds up costing her. So Omega steps in.
She wipes the floor with
the remaining two, and it's like, oh, they bet all their money on that. They went all in on that, and so Sid finally sees an opportunity here.
Exploitation.
But Omega is like, it's like she's smart, and she's like, I'll help you, but what's my cut? It's like Sid's like 30%.
Make it 60.
So yeah, while all this is going on, basically Omega winds up managing to do enough that they clear the debt.
She won so much, so often against all the patrons that came in. Like she just completely wiped out their debt. Now, like that was really freaking impressive.
And it makes it that much better. It's like knowing that, okay, so you're now you're both somewhat proficient in long range weapons, and you're a strategist. So yeah, let's work on making you a jack of all trades, because that will be very helpful.
Yeah, and it makes her more of an essential member of the group, because you combine her with like text analysis, like they can do anything. I've known some people like that too, who are like really good at strategy games or like puzzle games and stuff. And it's nice to see that like she found her niche and can like incorporate it not just into games but out on the battlefield as well. And I do like that she demands that like Sid give her like a cut, because it's like they say, you have a skill, you don't sell it for free. Yeah, you charge for that shit. Unfortunately, Hunter's not exactly too
keen on the idea. He's afraid again, she's making herself too vulnerable.
Like, he acts a little unappreciative, because it's like, you say that, oh, she's been doing great, and she wiped out your dead, yada yada, and he's just like, oh, you're drawing attention to yourself. We told you not to do that. It's like, dude, show some gratitude. She helped you guys significantly. Now you don't have to go on all these pointless, dangerous missions anymore. You can pick and choose at this point if you want to.
But I think he does come around. Sid convinces Hunter that she's awesome, she did such a great job, and she wiped out their debt, and Omega makes a case for herself, so he's like, okay, you know what? If you beat me in a game, I'll reconsider and let you, join us again. Which, I'm assuming that Omega's gonna wipe the floor with him.
He's like, are you ready for this? And she's like, are you? Like, part of me thinks that he would have gone easy on her regardless, because he really does want her part of the team. Because I think at one point during the mission, like, they were trying to figure out how to enter this room, and he thought they'd be able to, like, get someone to sneak in through, like, this duct or whatever, but they don't have Omega with them to do that. Again, that leaves a gap in their team, which obviously is the only thing she can fill.
And even Wrecker's, like, gives him a stink eye when...
Yeah. He's like, seriously, dude?
Yeah.
Seriously? He was, like, shoulder checks him. Yeah, that was the part I enjoyed the most. Because, again, it shows that, she has skills that are applicable to what they do, that will be able to help them in the long run, and she's not a complete liability when it comes to their mission. Because, again, I understand she's still a child, they're trying to look out for her, they're trying to prevent her from being kidnapped and used for nefarious purposes, but at the same time, like she said, she's a part of their team. They have to start treating her as such. And, you know, I know it's a lot to put on a child, but, I mean, she's got to learn sooner or later. You know, may as well start now. But now I'm wondering, like, where exactly do they go from here? Because we already took care of the issue with the inhibitor chips. That's gone. We're down to one bounty hunter seeking them, so it's all about just keeping out of range of him. Their debt's all gone. Really, at this point, what is it they're going to do? I guess they go back to the original mission of they find a place to lay low, maybe deal with the whole issue of crosshairs.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if at this point they should still consider trying to rescue him or not. Something tells me after what happened in 3-parter, they might not be so keen. He did try to incinerate them inside a giant engine.
And then you saw how that backfired, literally.
Like, I'm wondering what the hell the Kaminoians are going to think when he comes back. And they're like, oh, what happened? And the soldiers are like, yeah, we tried to kill the Bad Batch, and we tried to get Omega, but then we tried incinerating them both in an engine. And they're like, what, you what?
Oh, and if they find out that Crosshairs almost put Omega in danger, too.
Twice.
Yeah.
Both by telling the soldiers to shoot her and by trying to burn her up in the engine. Mm-hmm. So obviously he has it out for her, and obviously that's going to be an issue with the Kaminoians because they need her. I'm just wondering what kind of discipline he's going to face because of that.
And that's assuming he gets found out.
I know he's probably not going to tell, but that doesn't mean his other soldiers won't say that, because they're going to want to know how the hell they escaped. I really am starting to doubt the whole Crosshair's redemption thing. He's not really giving any indicator that, he would turn back. And if he did, if he would still be loyal to the Batch or not.
We'll see. We'll see how far gone he is. And that's, once he finally recovers.
Yeah, if they don't put him in a Darth Vader suit first. Well, good news is that now we finally know what the titles are to the upcoming episodes for all of July. So here are the titles of the next 2 episodes we plan to review.
We got Devil's Deal and Rescue on Ryloth.
Yeah, so not too much speculation to go on there. I assume it's probably more missions and maybe finding places to lay low and whatnot.
Yeah, maybe rescuing more politicians from, the Empire.
That was a question I always wondered, because I don't think they ever... I mean, they sort of did, because in A New Hope, they mentioned how Palpatine, after 20 years, finally managed to wipe out the Senate, or at least get
the last remnants of the Old Republic.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it's like with the Jedi, it's been a long journey to eradicate every senator and representative from the Republic.
At least removing them from their station.
Right. Getting
somebody in there. That doesn't necessarily mean they kill them, because obviously the rebellion is made up of politicians.
Course. Right, obviously. Yeah. It's all just a matter of time, because we saw that it pretty much began with this episode, and, slowly working its way to the rest.
But yeah, I mean, I get the feeling that's kind of where it's leading. I mean, if anything, we might see that the Bad Batch kind of starts up with the rebellion. I mean, you've got already Saw Gerrera starting that faction.
We know Rex is off doing his own thing.
We know about Rex.
And the Martiz sisters. Yeah. It's all a matter of, who else is going to show up between now and the final episodes of the season.
Yeah.
I was reading up, stuff on the episode, and I saw somebody posted a rumor that they think Cad Bane might show up in The Mandalorian. I am both intrigued and pissed off for the following reasons. One, because that indicates he survives being in the Bad Batch series, which I had hoped had not been the case.
Which means he survives the entire Imperial
he survives
rebellion.
All 3 original movies, basically. But on the other hand, that gives me hope that if he does show up in Mandalorian, which would be appropriate given the whole space cowboy theme, and he's basically, a blue version of Clint Eastwood, is that he faces Mando and finally meets his end. Because if anybody can take down that motherfucker, I know Mando can.
Darksaber.
Yes. Oh my god, that'd be so amazing. That'd be so cathartic. Because he technically has Mandalorian tech, right?
Probably.
I assume he stole that shit. So
I'm assuming he's got a whole bunch of different.
Because he has the detonators. He has the flamethrower stuff. So it stands to reason he probably stole a lot of that shit from them.
Stole, bought, acquired through means either legal or illegal.
Yeah. As bounty hunters do.
Yeah.
So until next time, when we go on more fun missions for hopefully more money this time, I'm Kat MacBerrie.
I'm Doug MacBerrie.
And Cad Bane, why won't you die? Oh my god. I swear to you, with the day he dies, that'll be one of the greatest days of my life. And you will hear about it.
I got some problems with Cad Bane, and you're gonna hear about them! Serenity now!